KD, there are a bunch of candidates, including Westbrook and Steph and Kyrie, and you're right in that class. What is it going to take for others to recognize you as the best point guard in the NBA?
Well, I think everybody get to see me now. I mean, we've been on TV a little bit lately, more than we have. But I think I've been doing the same thing, but I'm just doing it better this season, and I'm doing it on both ends of the floor. I just feel like I'm all.
Once upon a time, John Wall had every mark of a future all-time great point guard. He had blazing speed, explosive athleticism, and a skill level that made it look like he was operating on a different clock than everybody else on the floor. Whenever the ball landed in his hands, you braced yourself because you knew something was coming. Maybe a nasty crossover, maybe a pass that shouldn't have been possible, maybe a full-court sprint that ended with him finishing above the rim before the defense even turned around. But mention John Wall's name today, and the conversation rarely stays on how good he actually was. Instead, people bring up what stripped that greatness away: the injuries, the seasons lost, the trade, his stops in Houston and Los Angeles, and finally, the retirement. And that's the tragedy buried inside John Wall's story. This isn't how it was supposed to go. Back in 2010, Wall walked into the league as the #1 overall pick, taken by the Washington Wizards straight out of Kentucky. The expectations that came with that selection were massive from day one. Washington wasn't just adding a talented rookie to the roster, they were handing him the keys to the franchise's future. And it didn't take long to see why they believed in him. His speed wasn't just fast for a point guard, he was legitimately one of the quickest players anywhere in the NBA. He could snatch a rebound and push the pace himself, crossing half court before the other team could even set their defense. And while plenty of young, athletic players need years to develop real feel for the game, Wall looked like he'd been running an NBA offense his whole life, right from the jump. In his very first season, he put up 16 points and 8 assists a night. That alone turned heads, but it was only a preview of what was coming. Season after season, Wall kept climbing, cementing himself as one of the league's premier floor generals. One All-Star selection turned into 2, then 3, and by the time it was all said and done, he'd strung together 5 consecutive All-Star nods, from 2014 all the way through 2018. Washington's fortunes were rising right alongside him, and he wasn't carrying that weight solo. Bradley Beal was right there beside him, and together the two of them became the backbone of the Wizards' rebuild. For several years, Wall and Beal formed one of the most electric backcourts in basketball, not just racking up stats, but actually winning. Washington made multiple playoff appearances during Wall's prime, pushing to the second round on 3 separate occasions. Then came the season where it all clicked. 2016-2017 was John Wall at his absolute ceiling. He was putting up 23 points and 10.7 assists a night, numbers that earned him a spot on the All-NBA third team. For a brief stretch, it genuinely looked like Washington had finally unearthed its franchise cornerstone. This wasn't just a speedy point guard anymore. This was a complete offensive weapon. He could create shots out of nothing, break down defenses off the dribble, thread passes into impossible windows, and dictate the tempo of an entire game at will. Add in the defensive tools his athleticism gave him, and you had a guy capable of single-handedly deciding outcomes. But there was another layer to what made John Wall so must-watch: the highlight reel. Few players in the league were more thrilling to watch live, and one moment in particular still gets brought up: the 2017 playoffs against Atlanta. Washington's season was hanging in the balance, and Wall rose to the occasion, attacking the rim and delivering a game-defining shot that pushed the Wizards forward and left fans convinced they were watching a future superstar take shape. Then the story took a turn. It wasn't that Wall's game fell apart. His talent never disappeared. What betrayed him was his body. Injuries began piling up, chipping away at his availability. Knee trouble surfaced, surgeries followed, and then came the injury that changed the entire trajectory of his career. In January of 2019, Wall underwent surgery on his left heel. Not long after, disaster hit again. This time, a ruptured Achilles tendon, an injury that would sideline him for a brutally long stretch. For most players, that's devastating. For someone whose whole identity was built on blinding speed and explosiveness, it was catastrophic. Take away the one physical gift that made Wall who he was, and you're left wondering what remains. While he fought to recover, the league simply kept spinning without him. Younger talents were breaking out, new faces were becoming stars. The NBA kept evolving in real time, and Wall could only watch it happen from the sidelines. Then a new complication emerged. Washington was staring down a difficult decision. Wall was still owed a massive contract, but he wasn't on the court to earn it, and the franchise was already looking toward a different future. So in 2020, the Wizards moved on, sending Wall to the Houston Rockets in a blockbuster swap that brought Russell Westbrook to Washington. Just stop and think about how surreal that is. A few years ago, this was the undisputed face of the Wizards, a 5-time All-Star, an All-NBA honoree, one of the most electrifying young guards anywhere in the sport. And now he was walking away from the only franchise he'd ever known, without ever getting the chance to prove what he could still do once healthy. When Wall finally suited up for Houston, glimpses of his old self started to resurface. He wasn't quite the same player he'd been before the injuries, but every so often you'd catch it. The burst, the confidence, the vision, the willingness to attack downhill. During the 2020-2021 season, he averaged 21 points and 7 assists a night, a genuinely impressive number for someone returning from such a long layoff. It proved there was still gas left in the tank. But Houston wasn't building toward contention. They were tearing things down and starting over, which meant Wall's situation kept getting murkier. He didn't play a single game during the 2021-2022 season. Another year gone. Another chunk of his prime vanished. And this is exactly where Wall's downfall becomes so hard to watch, because the issue was never a decline in ability. The issue was simply staying on the floor long enough to show it. The NBA doesn't wait for anybody. You can be among the most gifted players alive, but if you're not available, the league finds a way to move forward without you. Eventually, Wall and Houston agreed to a buyout, making him a free agent once again. Then came another shot, this time in Los Angeles. The Clippers brought him aboard for the 2022-2023 season, and once more fans started asking the same question they'd been asking for years. Could John Wall actually come back? Could he find himself back to the player he once was? Suiting up alongside Kawhi Leonard and Paul George gave him a real chance in a real contending situation, at least on paper. After years of clawing to get back to this level, he finally had his shot again. Early flashes gave people hope, but the injuries weren't finished with him. His time in Los Angeles only lasted part of the season before he ran into another setback. He would never play another NBA game after January 13th, 2023. That turned out to be it, the final appearance of his career. And at the time, nobody even realized it. That's one of the strange, quiet truths about sports. Sometimes a career's last game doesn't announce itself. There's no send-off, no tribute, no perfectly scripted farewell. Sometimes a player just plays his last game and the moment slips by unnoticed. That's exactly what happened to John Wall. Still only in his early 30s, and yet his NBA career had effectively reached its end. He spent time training, searching for another opportunity, even openly expressing that he wasn't mentally ready to walk away, that he still wanted one more chance. And honestly, who could blame him? Picture being one of the best point guards on the planet. Picture years of grinding to reach superstar status. Picture 5 All-Star selections. Picture finally arriving at your absolute peak, only to have injuries rip away years that should have belonged to you. That's the reality John Wall lived. The numbers still tell a powerful story. Across 11 NBA seasons, Wall averaged 18.7 points and 8.9 assists for his career, 5 All-Star selections, an All-NBA nod, a spot on the All-Defensive Second Team, a 2014 slam dunk contest title, and in Washington, he still stands as the franchise's all-time leader in both assists and steals. Those numbers aren't the numbers of someone who fell short. Those are the numbers of a player who was, without a question, genuinely great. Which is exactly why labeling John Wall a bust would be flat-out wrong. He wasn't a bust. He was a superstar whose career got hijacked by injuries, and there's a massive difference between the two. The hardest part is imagining what could have been if his body had simply held up. What if the heel surgery never happened? What if the Achilles never tore? What if he gotten 5 or 6 more prime years at full speed? What would Washington have built around him? What would his career totals have looked like? Would more All-Star nods have followed? Another All-NBA selection? Could he have dragged the Wizards deeper into the playoffs than they ever went? We'll never have those answers, and that uncertainty is what makes his story sting the most. John Wall never lost his talent, not once. His body simply refused to cooperate, much like what happened to Derrick Rose. Sometimes that's just the cruel reality of perfection.
And that's the saddest part of it all. Let me know which other NBA players or teams you want covered next, and I'll catch you in the next video.